Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cornelia and I make videos on living the life of an entrepreneur, the journeys of building a candle business, and living your best life. So I like to sprinkle in some travel and adventure content in there when I go on adventures, but today's video is more specifically focused on goals and honestly an unedited conversation of 2023. I thought about releasing a video like this honestly just to talk about everything I learned in the last year, what's working, what's not, and hopefully shed some light and some inspiration for people who are also going through the transition to being an entrepreneur, building a business, or maybe just wanting to level up their life in one way or another. So my goal in this video is to dive into how I do my goal setting, how I set my year up for success, how I break it down into quarterly goals, monthly intentions, and how I get a little bit more specific about what I want and how to get there. I'm also going to review a little bit of like what's worked for me in the past, what's not working, and what I am switching up as we move forward, because this is going to be a big year. I can feel it. 2023, honestly, the last few years have been really big for me. I moved out west in 2021. That year was very much about just like figuring out my ground in a new city, making new friends, starting a relationship. You know, I was still working in film and television at the time, so really just like trying to figure out what I wanted in this new chapter of life. 2022 was exciting. I was able to purchase my first home, which was great. Obviously a lot of shifts there. I moved in with my partner, did a lot of traveling, so that was awesome. And then launching my candle business in 2023. 2023 was very focused on building the business and kind of refining my strategies and deciding what I want out of life. So it's been about 3 years, in a month or two, it'll be 3 years since I moved out west, and it has been a very continuous journey of leveling up and figuring out what I've wanted over those last 3 years. So here we are today. So let's first talk about 2023 and what I felt worked and what didn't work. You might be wondering why I have all these books here. This is an agenda from last year. I order the still agendas. I'll link them below because I really like their products, but this is like a holder I bought last year, and then you just get inserts to change it out, which is kind of cool. So this is my agenda from 2023, and every year in January, I sit down and I write out my goals in my agenda. So I've literally done this for years. I don't know if you can see all my goals. I divide them into sections: career, financial, candles, health, and personal, and life in general. Every year it kind of changes, but last year those were my categories. So in those categories, I write out 5-6 things that I want to achieve in that category in the year. So for example, the agency I work at, last year it was really important to me to get a raise. Last year it was important for me to level up my knowledge of marketing. It was important for me to step into more of a producing role, learn a little bit more about creative strategy, and then also be able to work more as a CGC creator. So those are like my overarching goals. Then financial, you know, building out my 7 income streams, you know, getting more revenue coming in from all those streams. Candle goals are very specific in like doing like 3 summer markets and 2 fall markets, and I've had a certain goal of revenue that I wanted to make. My health is very important to me, obviously. You know, strength and consistency, working out, not all or nothing, but like a little bit of movement every day. For example, strength training 2 to 3 times a week, cardio 2 times a week, yoga once a week, going for walks every day, like stuff like that. And then personal life in general. It was really important to me to build out a community of women here in Calgary that are solid, I really care about. I don't need a million friends in this new home. I think I have so many incredible people back in Toronto, in Niagara, where I'm from, and I kind of came to the realization last year that you don't need like 10 friends, let's say, for example. You know, 4 or 5 good friends is way better than like 15 friends that you're not as close with. So like I came to the piece that I have my people back home. I've built out a little group of girls here in Calgary that I'm like so thankful for, and I'm good with that. You know, leveling up my relationship, gratitude, acceptance, stuff like that, just really focusing in on personal wellness. So to sum it up, every year I write out my goals. Like I just talked to you about a few of them. I'm not going to read out every single one, but as I had gone through them, those are some of my goals. I look back at those every month. I look back at those every quarter. So once I've set out my yearly goals, I then have another agenda where I write out the quarters of the year. So there's 4 quarters in a year, and in order to achieve the main goals I have for the year, I break it down into quarters. So what am I gonna do January, February, March to get to where I wanna go? Then I reevaluate again. What am I gonna do April, May, June to get to where I wanna go, and so on and so on. So I have a section in this journal that I do my quarterly goals in. I find that really helpful because it breaks it down into like better sized chunks of time. So I take those same goals and I add steps on how to get there. Then from there, I then do monthly intentions. So here's January 2023. I say, okay, so in January, February, March, these are the things I want to achieve. And then I write out 5 things every month that I'm going to focus on to achieve those quarterly goals, will in the end help me achieve my yearly goals. Now, I listened to a really interesting podcast last year with the founders of Array, and they were saying they have 5 focuses each month. That really hit home with me. I think I'm somebody who tries to do everything, and I get a little carried away and maybe don't get as much done because my mind is in a million different places. So my goal this year, and my advice to you from everything I've learned, bite-sized chunks. Try to be a little bit more specific in your goals, try to be more focused, and if it is just tackling 5 things every month, like big business goals or personal wellness, whatever you want it to be, that's gonna help you break it down to get to where you wanna be long term. Rather than trying to tackle like 15 things at once every month, you're just gonna get scattered and nothing's gonna get done. I would say one of my biggest takeaways from the last few years of my journey of being an entrepreneur is sometimes less is more. Sometimes you need to break things down into smaller chunks in order to get it done. I feel like there was a long period there where I was just constantly working and constantly striving, and I felt like I wasn't going anywhere. I'm not saying I wasn't going anywhere, because obviously I was. I've done a lot and achieved a lot of my goals, but I guess I was expecting to be there sooner. Looking back at goals from last year, you know, like I wanted to have a salary of over $100,000. Well, that didn't happen. And it's not because I didn't try. I just honestly feel like things happen slower than we think. I think there's a lot of pressure on social media to, you know, be making 6 figures in under 6 months, because you see videos like that all the time of these girls making like $100 grand a month, and I have never experienced that. So I don't know if it's something I'm doing or it's just the true test of life, is that like good things take time. And I think that's like one of my biggest pieces of advice, aside from like breaking things down into smaller bite-sized pieces. It would also be to have patience. Everything in life that I've like truly wanted has worked out the way it's meant to, and it might just not be happening on the timeline you want it to be happening. And I'm trying to tell myself this too as a reminder, because it's like we're so used to instant gratification, and I truly believe that we'll get to where we want to go with hard work. It just might take like 4 or 5 years instead of like 2 years, and that's just the harsh reality of it. And just the last thing I'll say about goal setting in 2023, I look back at all of my goals, and honestly, I completed about 80% of them. Some of them didn't pan out. Like I said, the finances didn't really pan out. I wanted to do like a theater show that didn't pan out, but purely because I just didn't have time. You know, stuff like that. But it's like overall, I actually feel like I achieved most of this, and I'm really happy with how my year went. And I think writing it down and being able to review at the end of the year is really nice. I also did something where I wrote a letter to myself January of 2023, and I read it January of 2024, and it was like a letter to my future self and everything I've accomplished, like basically visioning it, putting on paper, and then you read it a year later. That was really cool too. Again, not everything came true, but I would say like over 50%, maybe 60% of it did, maybe even more than that. I don't know, I didn't really count exactly, but like, you're putting it out into the universe, and that is a way to manifest, is by like writing it down, having your goals on the front of your agenda, having a vision board on your desktop, like I've talked about before. Those are all things that like remind you of what you're working towards, which I think is good to keep momentum going and, you know, just motivation, and brings you joy when you look at it. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about 2024 and what I'm taking into 2024 as learnings from the past couple years. So again, I have my goals written down at the front of my agenda. 2024. This year I've separated it into health, creative career, North Star Candle Co., the agency I work for, and personal/financial. Adjusted it a little bit. So like health, I want to hit 6,000 to 7,000 steps a day. I want to be doing 2 cardio sessions a week. I want to be strength training 3 times a week. And I want to be closing that move ring on my Apple Watch 6 times a week. Creative career, I want to monetize YouTube this year. I want to scale the blog I work on with my friend Meg, Living in Lifestyle. We want to scale it so that we're bringing in money from ads, Google AdSense. I'm going to start prioritizing, and I think, you know, for the blog as well, like we're gonna stop prioritizing Instagram so much, focusing on YouTube, focusing on Pinterest, focusing on platforms that are like a little more enjoyable and also like less just based on the algorithm. And I also really want to apply to acting and modeling agencies this year. It's something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. I've obviously had agents in the past. Since moving to Calgary, I said, okay, that's something I really want to focus on. And because of all the strikes last year, I didn't do it. But this year I'm doing it. I have photos booked on Friday. That was one of my quarterly goals, to get pictures done for applications. So that's another thing. And then obviously my candle company, wanting to scale that to a certain level, generating a certain amount of revenue versus income. And then also doing a lot of collaborations with businesses and weddings, and I've already started doing some of that, and it's only January, so that's exciting. Hitting a certain salary goal at my agency job, building out our studio department is something I'm really excited about. And then personal financial is like just living a positive life, giving gratitude every day, you know, working towards earning a certain amount of money every month so I can afford the things in life that I want, and just breathing a little bit more. So how am I gonna make this all happen? As I mentioned, I kind of told you my learnings of what I've learned in the past and what I'm bringing into this year. I've already gone ahead and set my quarterly goals. I've set my January intentions, and I've been consistent in setting intentions since 2017 when my friend Meg and I started setting them. So it's been many years of setting intentions, and we love it. So I've already done that, which is exciting. And then basically another way that I achieve things is I'm a huge time blocker. I will do another video about time blocking, but basically I take my goals, I take my tasks, and I implement them off. It's the next day. My boyfriend came home as I was filming that video, and I was like, I'm not gonna keep talking to the camera when he's literally coming through the front door. So I took a pause. Here I am the next day. Okay, so where I left off, I was talking about time blocking, and I'm not really gonna go into it because I think this video is already running a little long, but time blocking has been a huge help in how I set up my tasks, my day, and achieving my to-do list, getting my to-do list done, which gets me closer to my goals. So I hope this video was helpful. I really wanted to break down my routines and what has helped me. I think honestly, at the end of the day, what has not worked is just trying to do too many things at once. When I got more specific about what needed to be done and tracking where my time was going, and also outsourcing, I'm starting to do outsourcing more and more. Like my goal is to eventually bring my friend on as like a full-time like administrative assistant, executive assistant, whatever you want to call it, to do the tasks that I don't have time to do, or do the tasks that I'm not as interested in doing. I think if you can get to a point in your business or in your life where you can outsource tasks, that's also a big help because it saves up a lot of time on your end. So yeah, that's one of my goals for the year. I really see 2024 as being like a big level up year. I am ready to scale. As somebody who has been working on my personal brand for almost 4 years, as someone who launched a candle company next year and is growing that brand, it's really important to me to just see growth in those areas. And as somebody like working at my full-time job, like I really want to level up there as well, and you know, do some more higher end studio work, which is something I'm passionate about. So kind of every area of my life, just like leveling up a little bit more. I mean, I'm honestly very happy with where things are at in general. I don't see myself needing to do all these huge changes. I don't think you should necessarily go into the year being like, I'm going to change my whole life. I mean, unless you really feel the need to, but I think consistency and little steps every week, every month to your goals are gonna get you to the place where you're feeling your best and where you are your happiest. So I hope this video was helpful. Comment down below if you like videos like this, if there's other things you want me to dive into in terms of my routine. I will talk about time blocking. I could also talk about like things that have helped my productivity. I'm curious, you know, I really wanna share more tips like that on this channel. You know, being an entrepreneur and like going through these life lessons on my own, I'd love to share with all of you, because these learnings, you know, I learn things from other people and I want to pass that on, you know? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Have a great day.